So, before we get into the speculation or the analysis of this Maldraxxus Afterlives video, let me first set the scene for what exactly is Maldraxxus. What is the purpose of Maldraxxus within the Shadowlands? So Maldraxxus is the place where you go when you've been a great warrior in life. So in your mortal life, you displayed remarkable feats of strength, remarkable feats of war. This is you then being sent to Maldraxxus. Now, as I've stated in prior videos that we've done on this topic, my main gripe that I have right now with the Shadowlands is that it doesn't function the way that we've been told it is meant to function. We are told that evil creatures and people that's done evil on their, in their mortal lives, and if they're irredeemable, they get sent to the maw. Now, during your questing of Maldraxxus, you will discover a character called Emily. Emily will become one of your soulbinds. Emily killed thousands of her own siblings to become the ruler of her world. To rule her world, she had to kill thousands of her own siblings, and yet she was not deemed worthy of the maw, which leads me to a major insight, which something that we've had for a while now. The maw has one of two things, and I know this doesn't have necessarily anything to do with Maldraxxus, but I feel like it's important for all of you to understand this before we get into any sort of analysis of different cinematics or anything like that. The maw seems to have one of two outcomes here. Either one, 0 souls have been sent into the maw since the jailer was banished. So it really is a lie when they say that only the worst souls go to the maw. In other words, the only souls that really do go to the maw are the ones that sent to, for example, Revendreth, or maybe the ones that sent to Bastion. The souls that really cannot fit into one of the covenants within the Shadowlands, they are the ones that get sent to the maw. So the Arbiter never sends a soul into the maw, ever. Which could give us even more insights into Devos and Uther's scenario, with Devos herself maybe realizing if Arthas dies before they can intervene, Arthas will not be sent to the maw where he belongs. And this might be why Devos decided to interject before Arthas could appear in front of the Arbiter. So just keep that in mind. Maldraxxus is the army of the Shadowlands. Their job is to protect the Shadowlands. They have 5 different houses, and each one of these houses is set up to do something very different. Draka, in this Afterlife short, is part of the House of Eyes, who are the spy masters of Maldraxxus, and therefore the spy masters of the Shadowlands. Anyways, let's get into it.
In life, I was Draka of the Frostwolf clan, a warrior who gave everything.
It's quite nice that Blizzard decides to start with her very first mortal memory. And what I love about this is the contrast to what we saw with Bastion. In Bastion, it's all about removing your old life. So basically clearing out all of your memories so that you can serve the Shadowlands without any judgment. In Maldraxxus, this is not the case at all. In fact, in Maldraxxus, you are almost willed on to embrace your old life. They really like the fact that you remember how evil or how ruthless you were in your mortal life so that you can be driven to do more. And I feel like this exact memory for Draka is what caused her to be so devoted to Maldraxxus, to take up that mantle of, spy master within Maldraxxus.
To protect what mattered most.
A little bit of sadness there, and Blizzard really does know how to pull on one's heartstrings, right? Just those final moments before she had to give up her life, before there was, it was kind of out of her control. And now she's back and doing exactly this in the afterlife. What she couldn't do in her mortal life. She couldn't protect those that mattered to her most. But now she can, and now she is doing it.
But I was not done fighting.
This is such a cool line, but I was not done fighting. Such a cool line. Fucking love it.
Maldraxxus.
As you can see here, the 5 different houses of Maldraxxus, each serving the seat of the Primus. The Primus is the leader, but he is missing right now. So the Primus isn't around. And the current unrest within Maldraxxus, unlike in almost every single one of the other zones, Maldraxxus is one of the only zones that isn't simply fighting a war against other covenants. Maldraxxus is fighting a massive, giant civil war. It is being betrayed from within, with a lot of these houses now pledging themselves to the jailer and to the jailer's forces because of the power that the jailer offers them. And this maybe gives us more insight into the failures of each one of these zones. Every single one of the zones within the Shadowlands is failing. They each have a fundamental flaw in their design. With the Uther cinematic, we saw the innate failures within Bastion. The fact that someone like Arthas could have died and, according to Devos, not make its way into the Maw, knowing that he served the jailer in life, right, to her was an abomination, and it was the wrong thing to do. It is wrong that their memories are taken from them, and even the Archon admits that maybe it's time for them to fix that. Maybe that isn't the best option. In Maldraxxus, we see something different. Their reliance on a power society. And if you guys think back 200 years ago, when we lived in what humans would call honor society, where power was everything and it really was survival of the fittest, if you look back at the problems they had during that time of the world, it becomes clear why we decided not to partake in those things anymore. Why we moved away from an honor society. Because when Daddy leaves to go to the bar that night, it's not nice to know he's never coming back, maybe, because he's going to be challenged to a duel and shot in the fucking street, right? So we decided, no, maybe that's not a good way to order our society based on power. We should find different ways of doing it. In Maldraxxus, they have 100% embraced power. There is a hierarchy, and the most powerful move to the top of the hierarchy by any means necessary. And this was their downfall. The fact that each one of these houses are constantly fighting for control. And by the way, in the center, if this center building here, this is the arena. In this arena, each one of these houses fight endlessly for victory against one another. So it's become a control society. And this is why they fell to the jailer's charms. Why the jailer's promises of victory and of greatness was impossible for them to really ignore.
Where the armies of the 5 houses once stood side by side to protect the realm of death.
It's just nice how maybe I'm looking a little bit too deep into this, but she's not saying protect the realms of the Shadowlands, but protect the realm of death. We know already that the realm of death, or the Shadowlands, is infinite, right? There are multiple worlds within this realm. Like, how far is Maldraxxus' reach? Just how far out do they actually protect?
It was here I served the House of Eyes. A strange fit for a warrior's soul.
An interesting fit, as I said during the reaction to you guys as well. Why would you take a warrior that would probably... Maldraxxus, by the way, who her leader sent her to Maldraxxus. They are far more brutal, right? They are brutal. They believe in more power and structure. A warrior surely would be better fitted for that, right? That's sort of like the natural house that a warrior would be in, and yet that's not where Draka found herself. Instead, they placed her in the House of Eyes. And according to what Draka is saying here, it doesn't appear as if she had any choice in that matter. She was placed in that house, a strange fit for a warrior's soul. In other words, I didn't choose this, it was chosen on my behalf.
Again.
Their ways were not mine.
Faster. Again.
Eventually, this life after life began to feel right.
They are showing us what the House of Eyes do. They're also showing us about Draka and her time inside Maldraxxus, but the brutality with which they show it, I absolutely love that. I love the brutality that they're showcasing in the cinematic. And this is one of the reasons I always love these animatics so much. I feel like there's so much more that Blizzard can do in these animatics that they would have to do so much more for a CGI cinematic to get across. Whereas these animatics, it really does allow them to do some crazy shit with not necessarily as much time being spent doing it.
The House of Plagues lies in ruins.
Just so that you guys, we don't, even playing through the entire storyline of Maldraxxus, you learn that the House of Plagues have been betrayed from within. Someone, like at one point during the end of the quest chain for the House of Plagues, you actually build a concoction, or you make a concoction that summons the Queen of the House of Plagues. And you can see that she is no longer with us. She comes out of this river of gloob, and it's just a skeleton. So you can see that she's died. She's no longer with us. That betrayal has taken her. How exactly the House of Plagues have been betrayed remains a mystery. But thanks to the cinematic, we now know that it was the first house to fall. The House of Plagues were the first to fall, and we also know that they were in fact loyal to the Primus. They never turned against the Primus. This is why they were the first to fall.
1/5 of Maldraxxus wiped out.
It's hard to believe they could be so careless.
Perhaps they weren't. No matter what happens now.
Oh, this is actually something that's very important. Her saying it's hard to believe that they could be so careless. From the outside, before you start doing the quest of the House of Plagues, it looks as if they became arrogant in their potion design. And they kept going bigger and bigger and bigger with their potion design. They kept trying to summon more and more things. And that led to their downfall. You can hear Draka saying this. It's hard to believe that they could be so careless. And then her leader says, perhaps they weren't. So he's already seeing something that she isn't. He's already aware that perhaps something bigger is going on here.
Maldraxxus must stay true to its purpose. For if we fail in our duty, the Shadowlands will fall.
This is now where things get interesting. If you guys remember at the beginning of the stream, I showed you guys the Heart of the Forest in Ardenweald. The Heart of the Forest, of course, is central to the chains of the jailer. If the Heart of the Forest falls, the jailer will be free. Now we hear Draka's leader say, if Maldraxxus falls, the Shadowlands will fall as well. So, if you guys remember way back when Shadowlands was first announced, I came up with a theory where I said it seems to me like each one of these covenants were designed specifically to defend the world against the jailer. They became Afterlives only because of their defensive strategy, not because that's where souls were meant to go in the first place. So Bastion, for example, it's set up so that the souls can be collected from the mortal realms and taken to the Arbiter. And the Arbiter was set up to ensure that none of those souls ever make it into the Maw. This is why Revendreth was built, so that even the evil souls can be broken and changed so that they can kind of be pushed into a different covenant. So every single one of these zones were set up only to starve the jailer. And now the more we learn, the more we see about these covenants, it's becoming more and more clear. This was never the natural existence of the Shadowlands. This is what the Shadowlands became. This is what the Shadowlands had to become to keep the Banished One from destroying whatever they claim he is trying to destroy. Because I believe the Maw, I told you guys this on Sunday, the Maw has this giant river that runs through it. It's called Gargua, the River of Souls. I believe that is the original place where souls were meant to go.
I believe the House of the Chosen still stands with us, and I trust you to deliver this to Maldraxxus.
The House of the Chosen, that's the house that really favors violence. Like, they love their violence in the House of the Chosen. But all of the other houses now pretty much, they've merged into the House of the Chosen. There is only one house left. All of the other houses now stand united to defend the Shadowlands.
Now, go. And Draka, be watchful.
The fact that he tells her and Draka, be watchful. I wish this guy, I hope he isn't dead. I really hope that her leader isn't dead. And the reason for that is he clearly understands that something is afoot, even if he isn't party to it right now.
My brothers, I am on urgent business.
How did they get there? Does this mean that even the House of Eyes was betrayed from within? It has to have been an inside job, right? This is in their own base. So it have to have been an inside job.
My lord! Hurry! There could be survivors!
I absolutely love how Blizzard decides on the cinematic value of showing the betrayal. Seeing how they get their weapons ready. They're ready to betray her. They're setting up for it. Now is the time to stop her from getting to Kraxus. I love the way Blizzard does this. OP Shadowmouth. That's all I'm gonna say. Fuck my life. What an OP Shadowmouth. Showing us the level of betrayal. I believe that's what Blizzard was doing during this scene. So, if we look at this scene here, Blizzard is showing us the level of betrayal. This is not just a minority group that is standing up and turning their backs on the Maldraxian way. This is the majority. There are a few in Maldraxxus that still follows the ways of the Primus. The rest have turned their backs on the Primus and on whatever the Primus believes is the right way.
So, these are the traitors you spoke of.
And again, just showing that sort of brutality that comes from within Maldraxxus. So how the Maldraxi view themselves, how the Maldraxi believe in themselves. it once again just shines through here. She throws a bag with the heads of the traitors. And what's nice is Blizzard doesn't actually state this outright, but it is inferred, right? So these are the traitors, right? That's the brutality. That's the level of brutality that comes from that comes from Maldraxxus. So it's not enough to just say, oh, I killed a bunch of traitors. No. If you really want to be honored in Maldraxxus, you'll bring me their heads, right? Very old school sort of medieval feel, Game of Thronesy feel almost, if you will.
I would not let such Urgura prevent me from delivering my lord's final message.
Ordeals such as this either break the sword or strengthen it.
A giant part of the Maldraxi culture is weaponry. This is not the first time that you'll hear about it. Almost every single notable character within Maldraxxus use weapons and shields and armor and things like this to describe everyday happenings, right? So weapons is a giant part of their culture, just further really infusing that warlike nature that the Maldraxi have.
I offer the key to saving Maldraxxus.
I am sorry, Margrave. He gave me no key.
An interesting idea. I offer you the key to saving Maldraxxus. Draka obviously doesn't understand that she is to be that key. But this again makes me wonder, just how long did they actually know that something big is coming? How long did they actually know that something huge is coming? If they chose to place Draka within the House of Ice, as I said at the beginning, it makes no sense. She's a warrior. She's got a warrior spirit. She says this herself. She's got a warrior spirit. She doesn't belong inside the House of Ice. She is meant to be with the chosen. The guys who really do care about just might and strength and all the rest of it. Yet they placed her inside the House of Ice for some reason. There's definitely a reason why they did that. And perhaps this foreshadows something that they knew was coming. They just didn't know exactly when it would come.
An unyielding warrior with the skills of a master spy. A key to many things.
And she really is a big part of the key. Like, almost everything you're going to do in Maldraxxus is at her behest. She is the one that sends you around and sort of directs your purpose within Maldraxxus. She is in that sense the key. The question is there even more that we are yet to learn about?
Come, our enemies will strike openly soon. We must prepare.
I am Draka, once of the Frost Wolf clan, now Baroness of the House of the Chosen, and most of all, a protector of Maldraxxus.
Fuck, that is such a cool shot. Such cool cinematography. I'm in love with this. Of course, it doesn't give us as much insight as we got with the Bastion one. I understand that. But for what it was, for what it needed to be, this was everything I wanted and more. Absolutely. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Yes, no, maybe. Where do you guys fall on this cinematic?